welcome back to Life in Sport podcast. And we're hitting it again. We've got another former Leeds United player. As people would know in the most recent episode with John Newsom, that I'm on a bit of a grind to try and get as many former Leeds players from whatever time period that they played for Leeds, because honestly, if you played one game for Leeds or 100 games, that's more games than I'll ever have played for Leeds for my mighty Leeds United. And today's guest is no exception to that. His name is Andy Couzens. Thank you very much for joining me. And how's your day been so far?
Not too bad, thank you. It's a little bit wet. My little one's just woken up, so it's perfect timing. Cheltenham's on, so it's all good.
It's all kicking off, as they say.
It's all kicking off. Yeah, I've spoke to a few of the guys out in Portugal who were watching it, who I normally go watch at Cheltenham with. So we've spoke to a few of them this morning, got a few bets through. So yeah, we're hopeful for a nice day today, and but weekend was quite chilled out, and obviously it always helps when Leeds have won. On Friday night to nice and relaxing Saturday, Sunday, then waiting for everybody else's and all the other results to come through.
It's always good, especially, and I was saying to my friend the other day, I never thought I would ever find myself rooting for Cardiff, ever. and obviously, in order for Leeds to stay where they were in second place, we needed Cardiff to get the win, and they did, which is wonderful. But this is not about the game at the moment. We will definitely cover that later on, but this is about your career and your journey, or you could say your life in sport, no pun intended. And the first question that I always ask every guest is, what's your earliest memory? So what is your earliest memory of football?
I can remember playing, like kids football and school football, that side of things. To be honest, I think it's a bit different to back in my day, because I did play a lot of sports. I played every sport going, really. So football was never my number one sport until really I was about maybe 14, and even then it wasn't. I had two sports which I was pretty good at.
Was it rugby, or rugby league was one of them, I'm guessing?
No, badminton.
No? Oh, okay.
Yeah, badminton. I was Yorkshire number one for badminton for a lot of years.
Oh, wow.
I could have played for England at badminton, but got told to pack up football, and I didn't pack up football, and I carried on playing badminton. And to be fair, badminton's quite a good sport to go alongside football because of your feet in that sense.
Your footwork,
it's something which works really well. But no, I was always somebody who was involved with sport, and football was always in. It was always something which I was in. I love football. I love going to watch football. I love playing. At any level, and I used to play a lot for the Bingley Juniors and places like that. So yeah, look, it's just one of them things which you kind of go. My earliest memory, I'm kind of, thinking what we're at. And just to reiterate, I've just won the first race at Cheltenham, so that's a good sign.
That's definitely a good sign for sure.
That's a good sign. It's a good start to the day. But yeah, it's. I think football itself is. You get just dream. You dream of being a footballer. You go watch it. You go watch whatever football you can. I was very lucky to play in some really good teams and get scouted by Leeds at 13, 12, 13, 14 kind of time. I got scouted by them, and we ended up being a schoolboy down there at 14 years old. And as I say, it was a slightly different back then to what it is now. I think back then it was 14 was the earliest you could sign schoolboy forms. Then you played 2 years. Back then you played 2 years on a Sunday. I was still playing for Bradford Boys. I was still playing for Bingley Juniors, who I played for then as well. And ironically, I was when we were at the Leicester game, there was Tim Thornton, who's the Sky guy. And I used to play football with Bingley at Bingley Juniors with Timmy Thornton, with Tim. So there was an actual picture of me and him, which I showed, and he's seen before and things. So yeah, it's great memories of what you've got in that sense. But actual first memories of kicking a football about, I'm guessing I kicked it around in the playground and with my mates, and it kind of just went from there, really, I suppose.
That's fair enough, and that's honestly a really awesome story as well. Like, especially the guy from Sky Sport, as you were saying, like you would have shown him that, and it's so interesting how both your lives took a very different trajectory, but have also come back together in each other's lives. To some extent at the Leicester game, and obviously, as you mentioned, you were put into the Leeds United youth, not necessarily academy, as you said back in those days. It wasn't necessarily an academy per se. It was, you could say, the precursor to that, for lack of a better term. Where
Mm.
I actually just recently interviewed John Newsom, if anyone's listening. And he did also go on to say that he signed at age 14, a schoolboy scholarship sort of thing, did an apprenticeship, for lack of a better term. You, in particular,
Yep.
had quite a successful time with the Leeds United youth, winning the FA Youth Cup against arch rivals, as in Leeds United arch rivals, Man United. What was
Yeah.
that like going on that FA Youth Cup run? Experience the fusion of energy and nutrition with Energy Pro. Elevate your hydration game like never before with no added sugar, all natural colors and flavors, and up to 25 grams of protein per serve. Caffeine boosted flavors, on the go protein hydration with the 9 essential BCAAs derived from whey protein isolate. These products are HASTA approved for athletes looking for that edge pre training, during a game, and afterwards for recovery. Embrace a healthier way to energize with a fusion of flavor and function that keeps you moving forward. And don't just take our word for it. Experience the refreshing transformation with Energy Pro. It's not just protein water, it's your new essential ally. Together, let's break barriers and build a future where fitness and wellness are accessible to all. Go to energypro.com.au and use our code LS10 for 10% off at checkout.
Well, it was great, and I think that I know Newsy now. You just mentioned John. He's a great lad, and I work with John on match days and things.
Yep.
And
With the
he's a
hospitality,
similar,
isn't it?
yeah, and and you go back to them days, and you go back to those, those lads who played schoolboys. We're still in touch with a lot of them, and the run for us, we actually had a reunion at the start of the season,
Oh, wow.
as well for everybody. And we haven't seen some of them lads for 30
Yeah,
years.
because it was the 93 FA Youth Cup, wasn't it? So that would have been
Yeah,
30
yeah.
years.
So we haven't seen some of them for that amount of time. So it was great to get everybody back together again, and it was just like old times. And when you've got a successful dressing room in that sense, like we did with with that league, with that team. What I
Yeah.
do remember is one of the early rounds we played against Sheffield United, and we actually struggled against them.
Oh,
We
wow.
ended up beating them eventually. And then we went to the semi-finals down at Norwich. We played Norwich in two sides, and that was quite a tough game. And we came out winners in that in them two games. And the final was best way to describe it. I think it was.
Was it at
And I don't
Wembley,
think
or was the youth final not played at
no,
Wembley?
it was at Ellen Road and at Old Trafford, so it was a two-legged thing, and we played at
Okay. Yep.
Old Trafford first, and I don't think it'll ever happen again. We had 30,000 at Old Trafford,
Oh, wow.
um,
For a
and
youth
then
FA Cup, that's incredible.
for the youth team, they had some successful people. They didn't do bad for themselves. You can kind of reel their team off with Beckham, Scholes, Neville's played. You had Nicky Butt in there. You had David Beckham in there. You had Robbie Savage, Keith Gillespie, John O'Kane, Ben Thornley, Casper. They had a very, very good team and gone on and done some great things. And I think that, we knew about them.
Yep.
They knew about us because we had a great team as well. I had Matt Tinkler, Rob Bowman. We had Jamie
You just
Forrest,
had a
Kevin
better team
Sharp.
on the days.
Yeah, we beat them up over two legs basically, and we beat them quite convincingly. We had 33,000 at Ellen Road, and we were up at one of the lads'
Yep.
house, Dave Connor, and his mum had taken 3 or 4 of the lads in because it was quite a distance for us to come home because we trained in the morning,
Yep.
and his mum made us pre-match, and we got on the bus, and off we went back down from Morley down to Ellen Road, and we got down there, and we knew then it was going to be something special because it was busy. We're like, wow, there's a lot of people around. And then we went out to train, and we went out to like warm up and get ready, and Paul Hart, the manager, was like, lads, just ease fire a little bit. Don't do too much because I think we might have a delay. But there was nothing being said at that point, and we came in, and there was think it was a 20-minute delay.
Oh
And
wow!
it was the first time the big stand, as I call it, was open. So that was opened up for supporters to come in because they couldn't fit everybody in. So there was
Wow!
33,000 at Ellen Road, and we beat them 2-1. I think it was at Ellen Road, 2-0 down at Old Trafford. Jamie Forrester scored over a kick. Matthew Smith had scored, quite early on as well. Scalzi, did his normal side of things, where he scored a penalty and he did the ears to the crowd, but that's Scalzi for you.
Yep.
And we still see some of the lads from that era. I still see Paul Scholes quite a bit at golf dues, which we're at, and it gets mentioned from him as well. You forget about everything what he's won. That was kind of an iconic game, and I think from anybody from my era and our era was, that was the one which, a lot of people ask about. If I'm in hospitality and things, people will ask, "Oh, what team were you in again?" Because I'm getting on a bit, and like, well, remember the Youth Cup? Yeah, I was there. It was my first game, and there's so many people. It was their first game and first thing coming into Leeds at a very young age, and
Yeah.
they're now still supporters, and they're now on every match day, and that hooked him in. But a great experience for us. We did have a fantastic team, and we still are in touch. And I think if you've got a successful team, I do think you have that camaraderie and you have that togetherness, which I'm sure Newsy would have spoke about when they won the league. That a happy dressing room, which is what we had, can breed a lot of success, long term, and that's what we did there. And unfortunately for all of us, we didn't. Maybe Noel Whelan was the only one who went on and actually did had a career which maybe we all thought that we all were going to have, in the Premier League, and the rest of us kind of went into the lower leagues. A little bit from a bit further down in our careers. So, but no, look, it was a great experience, great game, great to to get in there, and it's always nice to beat Man United, isn't it? So and
Always.
especially with the team which they've got.
I was literally just about to say, you can definitely say, and no one can hold this over you, that you've beaten David Beckham in an FA Cup final. Technically, you can say that.
Yeah, no, he might throw out his his FA Cups and league wins and stuff like that. But it's, as I say, it's something which it was their start of their career as well. It put them onto the map. And I think their gaffer, I've got to say, I think their gaffer actually did have the confidence in keeping them. Alan Hansen famously said, "You can't win anything with kids, but you've also got to give kids an opportunity. And you've got to give kids that." And an opportunity isn't just an opportunity of one or two games, and an opportunity is to bring them in and out, but to have the experience around as well, just to help that. And I think Man United did that well.
Yes, they did.
With all of
I'll
them.
agree with that.
Bex was one of the last people to come through. Gary Neville came through pretty much first. Now a lot it was more Kev Sharp and Jamie Forrester came through.
Yep.
Tinks then came through. Then I came through. Then Mark Ford came through. And I think then when David O'Leary came in, he actually had a group of kids again who won the Youth Cup, which is Woodgate, Robinson, Kuehl, that group, McPhail. He gave them that opportunity to do it. But if you look at that team, the amount of experience which was around them as well, it helped them to flourish. And I think that was the only thing which we kind of maybe missed down at Leeds, and the gaffer, he tried it once where we had 4 or 5 as I think played against Everton and we lost 2-1. I think it was at home. I gave away a penalty that day, but we lost, and I think that was the bit where he kind of went, right, okay, I need to bring the experience in a little bit, to be honest. But look, it's a great experience for all of us. It's something which we all get talked about a lot. I've still got my shirt. I've still got my medal all framed, and it brings back great memories.
That's incredible. And not long after that, you got your first team start for Leeds United. Obviously, going off the back of the win in the FA Youth Cup. Yeah. What was it like getting the call up to the first team?
I kind of knew I was pretty close. I think I played in the. A funny story, actually. I played when I was a second year apprentice, I played against Grand Passaic for the first team. I can say it now because I've got nothing to do with it. The gaffer even knows it. But I'd actually played two. I think I played 2 games that week. And Paul Hart just said to me, he said, look, just have a bit of time off, have a bit of chill time. See you tomorrow. Come in at 11:30.
Relax, basically, yeah.
So that was Friday. So right, fine. Off I went. I rang my mate. I said, do you fancy going out for a few beers? And he was like, yeah, I'm down. He was at university. So we came down. We had a few beers, and a few beers ended up being a lot of beers. And, we...
As you do, yep.
Yeah, we ended up leaving the pub at maybe 12:30, 1 o'clock. And so my dad dropped me off, and I got told that I was by one of the other lads who was in the apprentice. He just said, oh, you're in the squad today. I said, what do you mean I'm in the squad today? He said, yeah, you're in the squad. I said, I can't be. So I turned around, went over to the shop over the road, got some chewing gum to try and, take the alcohol away from my breath. Yep. Went into the changing room and looked in. I'm like, bloody hell, I'm on the bench. I'm in the squad. And that was the first time I was actually in the first team squad. Now, I played a lot of reserve team football. And I was captain of the reserves come the year after, but I played quite a lot of reserve team football. So I knew I wasn't far away, at that point. And it was Gary Lineker's last game, and Ray Wallace never turned up. So the gaffer came to me and said, you're playing. So I ended up playing 90 minutes, I think it was, against Grand Passaic. And that was actually my first game and first thought, but I was actually, still hungover from the night before.
And how did you go in that game as your first 90 minutes in the first team? Hungover.
I think I did all right, but the picture in the Yorkshire Evening Post with Gary Lineker and me running towards a line, I didn't look that healthy, I have to say. And then obviously my full debut obviously was, or my debut was on the back of Lucas getting his he had his cruciate ligament, and I came on against Coventry, and we ended up winning. I think it was 3-0, I think. And we played really well. I played really well. I played centre half. And I kind of knew that week I was potentially involved. And the reason for that was because on Wednesday we played, I think it was maybe Tuesday actually, we played against Nottingham Forest in the reserves. And I played all right at centre half, and I played all right. And I understood there was an offer for me, I think, that week from Nottingham Forest.
Oh, okay. So like they were impressed by how you played against them, sort of thing.
Yeah, I played a couple of times against them. I played well a few times against them. And I've kind of been told this, that I was, but also I got a new contract on the Thursday.
Yeah.
So that kind of cemented what was said. So I kind of, the gaffer got me in on the day after and just said, look, we want to offer you, a new contract. I was on £150 a week at the time, and, wanted to offer me 500 quid a week and all this kind of stuff. So I'm like, all right, okay. So we didn't have phones back then, so I had to go speak to my dad. So I went over to the red phone box over the road at Ellen Road, and I think it's still there, and rang my dad at work and just said, look, what do you think? This is what this is what I've been offered, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, well, it's more than what I'm on, so I'd take it. So, all right, fine. So off I went down and back into the office and just said, yeah, look, I'll sign it. So I signed the deal then. So that kind of thought then I might be involved a little bit. And then I was sponsored by Mizuno, and I got a massive package from Mizuno the next day. So like that was Wednesday. Thursday, I got this massive bag full of stuff to Ellen Road, which was, and you could feel a vibe in the week that I was going to be involved. I've been involved with the squads and stuff and traveling and things like that. Yeah. And then the gaffer got me to one side on Friday and just said, look, you're going to be on the bench at the game. Now, you've also got to remember back then, I know I don't look it, but, we only had 2 subs back then, or 2 subs and a goalkeeper.
I was going to say, literally, in John Newsom's episode just before, he literally said there was only 3 subs max, not like there's 9 these days.
Yeah, and you kind of, so it's a big thing being on the bench. And then Lucas Debbie got injured. He did his cruciate ligament after about 25 minutes or something. Yep. And then, I came on, I played centre half, and played well. So it was a great experience. It was great to have that. I then played the Wednesday against Nottingham Forest for my full debut. So played there, and then we went to Old Trafford then on the Sunday, which was live on Sky, and I played there as well, which was which was like the first experience, really, I suppose, of people watching, my mates watching me on Sky or that kind of stuff. So that was pretty cool. And we got a draw. We got a 0-0 draw down there, which is the year when Blackburn won the league. So, it was a good 3 or 4 games really to be involved with. I was involved in the home game. Gary Speed was suspended, so that's why I ended up coming in and playing in the middle of the park really. But and that's where really when I was a midfielder when I came into Leeds as a kid, but I ended up playing right back really, really early.
Yep.
So at 14, I came on trial and I was actually a midfielder. And there was a guy called Stephen McManus who people might remember, Eric McManus, who was the Northern Ireland goalkeeper. And Stevie was sat next to me and they said, "Oh, we need a right back." And he just says, "Cuz will play right back." And I'm like, "All right, well, yeah, I'll play." So I just went, "Yeah, I'll play right back." And I've never played anywhere else for Leeds at that point. I played centre midfield still for Bradford Boys and for the school and things. But I ended up playing right back for Leeds at that point, and then I started playing centre half at one point, and then my first real game for Leeds, either in any format, schoolboy, YTS or anything, was my full debut against Notts Forest. I played centre midfield, and that was my first game, and people kind of recognised me more as being a midfielder for Leeds than anywhere else, really. Even though I did play all over the place.
And of those positions, what was your preferred position?
I preferred midfield because you were involved with it, but I think my best position was at right back. Okay. I think if I was a little bit taller, I think I'd have been a bit better at centre half. But centre half, I love playing centre half because you had a lot of the ball. But I also like right back as well a little bit because you could, you got forward and all that kind of stuff. So kind of, and I think that may be detriment to my career a little bit because I kind of were a little bit, when I left, I was a little bit of a dilemma of what position I wanted to play because one manager wanted me to play right side, one manager wanted to play centre midfield, and it kind of came into my thinking a little bit. But I then played pretty much every game then, 90% of my games then I played at in midfield for Leeds, or I played right wing back, which I still class as a midfielder, from that point onwards. But look, playing your debut, it's what you're wanting to do. It's every kid's dream, to play for your team, which you've supported as a kid, to go out there and be able to, go out and cross the white line and play in front of 40,000 people. It's a fantastic experience, and it's something that even now, nobody can take away from you, and it's something which you can be really proud of. And even if, as you said before, even if you played one game, it's more than 99% of people out there who who support football in any way, shape, or form. But it was a great experience. It was, I loved my time at Leeds. I still love the club now. It gets under your skin, and I love working there.
It's literally on my skin.
Now there you go. You see,
yeah.
But it's just one of them places, and it just gets it gets under your skin, and it's brilliant. And at the minute the atmosphere is brilliant, which I'm sure we're going to go into.
Absolutely, we are going to go into it, but I would be remiss if I passed up the offer, so that the option of a pun, and you could definitely say that your first 90 minutes while hungover was definitely a baptism of fire, you could say.
Yes.
But you went on, and as you just mentioned, an incredible run of form, for lack of a better term, because you had that, chewing gum, and then 90 minutes, and then you had your official, debut, and then went on to basically take spots left, right, and center, which is incredible. And as you said, even though you were sort of a midfielder, multi position player, which is incredible, because a lot of players these days don't do that. They're more of a specialized right back or center back or center defensive mid, or this other. Then they're not a player that can play center back and can do center defensive mid sort of thing. This, that, the other. You could say it's a dying art form in players these days.
I think players now are. I think Newsy might have said the same thing. I think players now are a bit more robotic, and I think they're very robotic
so.
in what they want to do and how they do things. You don't see anybody now taking control on the pitch a little bit. It's kind of what's being said in the changing room and on the screens. It's been wound into people a little bit more. When back in our day, if we'd scored a goal, for instance, we'd kind of say, right, and we're getting overrun somewhere, just come and sit in here for a little bit. It'll be somebody on the pitch would be taking control of that. And I think that's what you need. You need that. To say, without a shadow of a doubt, you need that, and that's something which I think is missing now in the football in football in general. I think it's a lot quicker, and I think it's a lot better in that sense. But I think also that teams, it is very robotic. Is football now? It's they know where they want to be, and back in our day, it wasn't that, because we had keepers back in our day who couldn't kick it really. They couldn't use their feet. They were goalkeepers at the end of the day. Yeah. And I can remember the back pass rule coming in, and it was like John Lukic thinking, "What the hell do I do?" He's not somebody who can kick it. He was somebody who you could pass it back to, and he'll kick it up top. But he wasn't somebody who could ping it around. But now you've got players or goalkeepers who are coming in who are as good as midfielders. Their distribution is fantastic.
Yeah, more or less. Yeah, and I spoke to John about this particular topic, not the positions, but the vibe. Now, when I say the vibe, I mean not taking away anything from the Bielsa period of promotion for Leeds. However, as a Leeds fan myself, tragic diehard, even though I'm in Australia, Leeds heritage, Leeds tragic. This year sort of vibe, if we get promoted or not, still it has a very similar vibe to the 89-90 squad / side that got promoted into Division 1 under Howard Wilkinson, compared to the Bielsa period, which again, not taking anything from that, but would you say that's would you agree with that, or would you say it's the other way around sort of thing?
Yeah, I think the thing at the minute, realistically, I think, you look at where we are and you look at our team. I think we've got a better team under now than what we did under Bielsa. I think what Bielsa did was he brought a lot of people back. He brought humanity to the players, I think, and he brought the best out of players, and he got the best out of players. Yes. And there's a great quote from Pep Guardiola, which actually says that if you give me the Leeds team, I would not have got them into the Premiership. If you give Bielsa the Barcelona team, he would have won everything going. Yeah. And that's kind of shows you how good the man was. Yes. Now, what you've also got to look at as well on the same side of it is you've got to look at where we are now and what Daniel Farke's doing. This team is, I don't think would have been in this position maybe at the start of the season.
I literally said to John that if you'd have told me this time last year when we were facing the brink of relegation that Leeds will be almost possibly fighting for automatic promotion back into the league next year, I would have laughed in your face. I would have said, no, maybe 2 or 3 seasons and we'll be back there, but not fighting for automatic promotion and potentially getting it sort of thing at this time.
I think he's the best manager we could have got. His resume is there and he knows what to do and how to do that. And I think that's very important. But I think what he's also got now is we've got the flair players, which is basically our front four.
Yep.
We're very solid then now. I'll touch wood. At the back with Ampadu at the back, I think we've only let him, I want to say 0.3 goals since when Ampadu and Rodon's been playing, centre half. That's something which didn't happen under Bielsa. Bielsa was very much a line of not a Kevin Keegan style of like we'll score more goals than you. It was very attractive football under Bielsa. It was very quick. It was Bielsa and attractive and everything. Absolutely. And as I said before, he brought Leeds back.
He did
from the oblivion, really, to a certain point. I can remember going into that Stoke game at the first game he was in charge of, and we were in the pavilion and we were talking, and I asked Mel Sterling about him, and he goes, "I don't actually know who he is." Now, Steve Hodge turned around and said, "How can you not know who Bielsa is?" Well, a lot of Leeds fans at that point didn't know who Marcello was, and not a lot of Leeds fans actually knew how we were going to play. Now, I can remember coming in after that game and going, if we play like that all season, we will go up. We are too good not to, because that was unbelievable. Because Stoke had just come down, they had a decent team. So what Bielsa did was a lot for the football club and everything else. Now, personally, I think it was the right time for him to go when he went.
Absolutely agreed.
He wasn't
He
in
didn't
for
overstay his
changing.
welcome.
No, he wasn't in for changing, but he needed to change.
Mm-hmm.
He needed to have that other bit. Now Daniel Farke's come in, and if you look at the start of the season, he said that his front two was going to be, Jorginho up top and Brillo or Bamford behind him. That's how it's going to be. I know my centre forwards. He did a big presentation on it, everything else. Well, he's got to a point where now Jorginho is his number 10 and it's Bamford or Prillo who's going to be his number 9. He can change and he can adapt, and he has adapted, but he's also made us a lot stronger as a defensive unit, which is what we want. We're always going to score goals, and our home form has been ecstatic. It's been
record
brilliant.
equaling for Leeds club in particular.
Well, we are also, if you think of it as well, I think we maybe 8 points now further ahead than what we were under Bielsa at this point. If you look also the other bits of that, which you see where we are league wise, any other, and this goes for Ipswich and Leicester as well. If we were in any other league, I think apart from 2, maybe 3 leagues in the last 20 years, we'd have gone up with the amount of points we've got now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's 9 games left.
Absolutely. John was saying if we hadn't, obviously we understand as fans and former players such as yourself, understand why Farke waited till basically the last week of the transfer to get that sort of done. But there was, the opening few match days, 4 or 5 match days where we could have maybe got 6 points off from those 4 matches, which we could be leading right now. But, luckily that, things turned, for the better. And as you said,
I think I've always said it all year, and John might have said the same thing. But what we've done this year is we've given everybody a month start, because the first month we didn't know who was staying, who was going.
Yeah, exactly.
And from that point of view, you look at Sinisterra went at like 11 o'clock at night. Yes, we brought Anthony in, but he did some great business at the end. And I think the best bit of business he did was keeping a few players. And I think his man management,
the players that have really bought into Leeds as well.
Well, Somerville's your prime example, isn't he? Somerville's when he's on form, he's unplayable in this league. But he never shouted about that he wanted to leave. He never shouted. He's not shouting now that he wants to leave. He never shouted it, in the January window that he wanted to go. He's just sat back. He's done his work. He's done his job. And hopefully he gets his rewards at the end of it, because he's a fantastic player. And that's perfect man management from a guy. Nonto, again, perfect man management. He's kept him in where he wants him. And Nonto is, I think Dan James has been fantastic this year, and I think Nonto struggled to get back in again, but he's having a little bit of a run now. Little run of games, and the goal he scored on against Sheffield Wednesday was testament to the hard work which he's putting in behind the scenes to get to that point. So it is something which you do look at and you do think this manager's got 2 things going for him. He's tactically very astute, and his man management skills seem to be right up there. We just need him to do it now for another 9 games. Yep. It's as simple as that. I was just looking at the fixtures actually the other day, and Southampton still have to play Ipswich. Ipswich still have to play Norwich as well, at Norwich.
Yeah, so which would be a tough game for them.
We've obviously got to play Southampton. We've still got to play Hull, but that's at home. And the home games are fanciers. Absolutely. Because we have been exceptional at home. So, look, it's in our hands. We just got to do our own thing. And going off what you said earlier on, for me, it's more about that we just have to do our job.
We've just got to get it done. It's that simple,
Just forget about everybody else. I said it after the last game. We came in and they were all on the phones looking at the Ipswich result. And we were like, I just went, we don't need to worry about the Ipswich result. Ipswich scored in the last minute against Bristol City. Ipswich have been behind the most in any team in this league, but they've got a real character about them to get to where they are, and they have to be to be in the position they are. But we can't do anything about Ipswich. We can only do what we can do about Leeds United, and what we can do at Leeds United is we can win football matches. We keep winning football matches. Nobody else can catch us.
Exactly.
And I think there's still twists in this. In this league, I think there's I think there's still some twists, and I think Leicester can be caught, and I think we can. I think we can overtake them.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
I really do.
Absolutely. I would definitely agree with that. I mean, we proved it when we beat them. We were down 3-1. Sorry, we were down
Yep.
1-0, sorry, which in my opinion, we were lucky up until the 70th minute to only be down 1-0, given the chances that Leicester shanked, for lack of a better term. And then obviously we
Yep.
know what happened. We come back and won 3-1. Incredible scenes at Ellen Road from what I saw from over here in Australia. There was footage that I don't know if it went viral or not, but it definitely got my attention in Australia. Someone took a video, a short clip of Ellen Road from 4 miles away, and you could hear the
Yeah, yeah.
chanting from the stadium. Like,
I think that was the
oh,
noisiest
I'm
it's
getting
been. I think that
goosebumps
was
just thinking about it.
Yeah, I think that was the noisiest it's been in that, especially that last 10 minutes.
Mm,
And I was stood next to Neil Aspin and the boys basically, knew she was in there and a few others, and I was sat next to her, and Neil just kept on asking me. He says, "Would you take a draw? Would you take?" This was 15 minutes before the end of the game. He said, "Would you take a
yeah.
draw?" I said, "No." I said, "If we score in the next 5 minutes, so we score and we get to 80 minutes and we won all, no, I fancy us."
Mm,
And he said,
yep.
"Really?" And I said, "Yeah, yeah." I said, "We just need to get that goal." I said, "They've
Yep.
had all their chances, and we got that goal, and then the noise just went. And then once the noise went, that was it. It was like, that it was mental in that place.
Oh, it was
Really
great.
was. And but that's great. That's what you want. You want it to be like that. And I think that the atmosphere around the football club in that sense is that I think sometimes the atmosphere around the football club on match days has been, oh, it's easy, this. It's an easy
Mm.
game, this. We'll win this. And I think that Leicester game, it was electric from minute one.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I think everybody realised it was a huge game for us. But yeah, now it's, as I say, look, it's in our own hands. We just need to do our own job, and it starts with the next game. You're only as good as your last game. It's forget about that now. You've got to go on to your next one.
Exactly. As good as your last game, but on to the next. Absolutely.
Absolutely. So look, the pressure will be on us,
Yep.
because everybody else will have played, and things. I don't know when this is going out, but it's you kind of look at.
Oh, this will be out by probably Friday.
All right, yeah. So we've got Millwall, this weekend, and which is a big game. It's a home game. You'd expect us to win it, but the pressure's on us.
Yep.
Sky tried to put pressure on us last week. We're playing Tuesday night, Friday night. It's quick turnarounds, and I think that I think look, we can take the pressure. I think it's at home. I think we'll, hopefully go out there and perform and get that early goal and get the 3 points and keep the pressure on everybody else, because we need to keep the pressure onto Ipswich in particular. And as I say, onto Leicester. Leicester haven't really had their bad run. They're starting to have a little bit now.
Yes, which is the perfect time for Leeds to have Leicester have that bad run, is at the back end of the season when we want it. But as we said, only as good as your last game. On to the next. And speaking of onto the next topic of conversation, which is the next team that you played for, which was Carlisle United. What was it like moving from Leeds, Ellen Road, comforts of home, for lack of a better term, over to Carlisle?
Yeah, well, I kind of nearly went to a few places. I nearly went to Rapid Vienna. I went there on trial and for a week, and that was all done and dusted. The contract was done. The house was. I was looked at, shown around the house, and the car place. I went to see the car where I'd get the cars from and all that kind of stuff. It was literally done, and obviously we could go on a Bosman, so that it was like, I could go for free from Leeds to an abroad club, and it really attracted me, and it was literally done and dusted, and they pulled the plug literally at the 12th hour. So I ended up coming back, and then sitting. I came to pre-season at Leeds, and then the gaffer just got to unsign and said, "Look, we've accepted a bid from Blackpool." And I said, "All right, okay." I said, "What about Carlisle?" He said, "Oh yeah, we accepted that ages ago." And said, "But go speak to Blackpool."
Yep.
I said, "All right, fine." So off I went, and I trundled up and went to both clubs. I knew the manager at Blackpool, who was Nigel Worthington. I knew the manager Mervyn Day up at Carlisle.
Yep. Former Leeds goalkeeper.
Yeah, and he'd watched a lot of me. He was still living down here, so he'd watched a lot of me. He wanted me to go up there and really have a push. I think for they'd only just come up, so they wanted a push to kind of go up again. We had a really good squad, which is what excited me. We had Rory Delap, we had Matt Janssen, we had a guy called Stefan Punavacci at the back who came from Paris Saint-Germain, Paul Borton who went off to Derby, Warren Aspinall who wealth of experience. So we had a really good crop of young players and they'd just come up, and Alan Smart who went off to Watford. So it was a really good team which we had, and we kind of well, what can I say really? We had Michael Knighton as a chairman, unfortunately, and Michael Knighton was I won't swear, but he was one of them, and
Yeah.
We just didn't get on, and he got rid of Mervyn after 6 games. We played Blackpool away. We got a draw, which struggled a little bit early season. We were trying to get into it a little bit. It was a bit quicker than what the lads were expecting. It was a bit quicker than what I expected. The Premier League, you get more time. And it's a bit more quality maybe in the Premier League. So that's why you have a bit more time. So then I went up there and we just, me and Michael Knighton just didn't get on. I believe I started 24 games, and my understanding is that there was a clause in my contract if I played 25, they owed Leeds more money. And Michael Knighton was the manager, as well as the chairman. So he would be picking teams and all that kind of stuff.
He would have definitely kept you out of that 25th game.
I think there was a few bits like that.
Shafted,
so my time up there
sure.
really wasn't. I love my time up in Carlisle, and I'm actually I'm actually going up there I'm organising a do up there with a few of the boys, and so we're going back, and I'm hosting it, and so we've got so we've got a do going up there in April, which would be great fun. But I think Michael Knighton it kind of destroyed me a little bit, really. Suddenly not getting picked after playing well, and being in. It was a great changing room. We had a great laugh, and then Nigel Pearson came in, which steadied the ship a little bit. I started playing a little bit more, but I lost my fitness because for me, our fitness regime was out of. Not like it would be down at Leeds, on that side of it. Not like it would be, with Mervyn Day in charge. Yeah. So these are the things which kind of go out. You go to a lower league club, you've got to fight for everything. And we went down. We ended up going down that year, and then I ended up going to Blackpool, which was the other club I was talking to. So I went to Blackpool under Nigel Worthington.
If I'm not mistaken, sorry, did you go to Blackpool on loan before signing with them, or was it the other way around sort of thing? You signed with them, then gone on loan.
So how that came about was I was playing a reserve game. I'd spoken to McKennigan, and I'd spoken to who was the assistant. I'd spoken to Nigel, and Nigel came up, and I met him in the car park after, and I just said, look, he said, what's happening? And I said, look, this is what's happening. Told him where everything was and stuff, and just said, look, I need to get away from here. I need you to give me a month, and then just go from there. And he said, right.
Was that just so you could sort your living situation out, sort of thing?
No. I went on loan for a month. I just needed to prove to him. By the way, I've just won the second race as well.
Let's go.
Yeah. I think the thing for me was that I needed to. I said to Nigel, I said, look, I'm not fit. You can see that out there. I need to train properly. I need your support on that, and I need you to trust me a little bit that I will get my fitness back, one way, shape, or form. I said, but let me come down for a month. Let me train. If you want me for the first team, then great. That's what I want to be. I want to be around. Reserve games, I'll play, all that kind of stuff. I have no problems. He knew my character, and he just said, right, okay, I'm going to take a punt on you. I'm not happy about your fitness, but I'll take a punt. And I came in, and I think I started pretty quickly the games under him, and I signed back then it was in deadline day, I think in March, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
So I signed then on deadline day an 18-month contract, with them. And I actually brought Tony K. I actually helped with a deal with Tony K to come down as well from Carlisle that day. So I ended up getting told I'm signing. Kagi was going to sign. I got in my car. I went up to Carlisle, picked Tony up in my car, brought him back down, and we both signed at the same time on deadline day. And it was great. That look, it was a new lease of life a little bit, and I played well that end of that season. Then, unfortunately, Nigel got the sack then bit through the first part of the season, and we had Steve McMahon come in. I was plagued with injuries, through that time, and then just things didn't work out. It just doesn't. That's just how it
It's
is.
football.
One minute I was speaking to who was I speaking to? I was speaking to Jason Field. I interviewed Jason Fielding who was the rugby league player for Wigan and Bradford Bulls.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Up. Yep.
On Friday night, one of the best players in the world. And I was talking to him about it, and he literally he had 2 or 3 years left on his contract at the end of his career, but it was brought short by 2 years. He got an injury, he had to go in for an operation, he got an infection in there, and that was basically his career done. And he literally didn't know what to do with himself. Because it's very difficult at that point of what you're going to do and how you're going to, go about your life, because all you've known is football, rugby, whatever it will be. And I think, for me,
I was going to say, sorry to interrupt, but that's a perfect segue. I know you were mid-thought, but it's just more, just so I can get the question now, because it's to do with exactly that, is how was the first 18 months after, basically being forced to retire because of injury?
Well, yeah, I kind of got fit at the end of the season. I can remember playing against Preston, local derby. Yep. I'd done the top of my foot.
Liz Frank?
I was on crutches. You what, sorry?
Was it the Liz Frank area of the foot?
It was on the top of the foot, so on the bone on the top of the foot. I thought I'd broken something, but I hadn't. So then I kind of I kept on getting X-rays, and the gaffer was like, can you play? Can you play? No. Now I know Port Vale had come to watch the next game, which was Oldham. I actually went to watch the game. I was on crutches walking around the pitch, and that kind of nothing came from that because my contract was up at the end of the season. And I never really got back, really. And I got back and did my calf, and then did my calf in pre-season. I ended up going to Hartlepool on trial, and Chris Turner was up there at the time. And Chris Turner basically said, look, I came in, he said, what's happened in your career? Why you're here and all that kind of stuff. And I just said, look, I said, I've had a load of injuries, bad, timings just haven't been right. You know what that's like. Yeah. He said, yes, I do. I said, I understand all that kind of stuff. Right, fine. I said, I need a month. I said, I need a month to get fit, and I need you to see me play how you want me to play, and then let's reevaluate it. I said, I'm quite happy to get in my car and travel up on a daily basis from Leeds to Hartlepool to train, which is in Durham. Train 3-4 times a week with you guys, and then go from there. I said, quite happy to do that. I haven't got a problem. She said, right, let's see what happens. So I went on trial, and we were playing against Middlesbrough, played well, and then played against Newcastle. Bobby Robson was there, played against Newcastle, and Newcastle just played really well. We got beat, but played really well.
Individually sort of thing, yep.
Yeah, and I knew in my heart I'd done all right. I knew I'd done all right because Bobby Robson came up and said after, he actually said, "Cuz that you played really well there." He said, "What's happening?" So I told him what the situation was, and he was like, "All right, fine." And Chris Turner came up to me after the game and said, "Right, get your representative to ring us. We want to get something sorted." He never answered the phone from that point onwards. So that literally was, and I'm now,
as in your agent representative didn't answer the phone.
No, my agent was ringing Chris Turner and the guy at Hartlepool and all that kind of stuff.
They didn't answer the phone. Gotcha.
Yeah, Hartlepool just decided not to. So that just didn't come off. And by that time, the season's just about to start. Everybody's got the teams together and everything else. So it's just a bit of a bad place, really. But then that transition time, back to your original question, really, the transition time it's hard. I didn't know what to do. I had a couple of houses, I had my car, and you've got bills going out, bills still going out. You've got everything else, and you kind of go, well, what am I gonna do?
Mm. And so, what did you do?
And I actually went on a personal training course. I started exactly a year later. So I had a full year where I was trying to get, things sorted, I suppose, trying to still get football clubs. Ironically, I started my course on whatever day it was, and I got a phone call 2 days before from Chris Wilder, who everybody knows now at Sheffield United, but he was the Halifax manager at the time, and he wanted me to come and play up there and be a part of the team which he had up there, and kind of give me that opportunity for the next season. I kind of said, look, I've just started this course. I'm not coming out of it. I said, the best I go and do is I'm with you for 2 years. I still need to do something after. So I
need to start
kind of made that decision.
For after.
I started basically saying, look, I'm going to go do personal training. I'm going to do that, but I'll come and do your fitness coaching.
Okay.
So I ended up basically being the fitness coach for them for a couple of years. After that year, I came back into it, and I was their fitness coach then for pre-season and for the full season. And I went into personal training. I was in personal training for 20. I'm still doing a bit now. 25 years I've been in personal training. 24 years. In the meantime of that, I've also had an IV business. So I set up that with my ex-wife. We set up an IV business in Leeds. We also set that up in Hong Kong. So I've sold that now. So I sold that to them, which is a company called Revive. So we've got like 100 clinics now worldwide, which we have. And I've got a global share within that company. So I've got I used to run the clinic over here and so on. And now I've gone kind of back, not full circle, but I'm getting involved more and more now by doing the hosting gigs. So I'm out there hosting whoever it will be who wants to be interviewed, really, doing your job to a certain point.
Cool.
Sometimes feel more comfortable there than I do here, but so basically interviewing and I've obviously been doing down at Leeds now for the last 13, 14 years. I've been down at Leeds. So we've been through some bad times when I've been down there with doing it. We've had some busy times, we've had some quiet times. But I interview the lads and host the lads on match days. And now last week I was out with Ian Hart on Wednesday. I was out with Neil Ruddock on Friday. This week, we had the game on Tuesday where we had Ross McCormack and who else did I have on? Bobby Davison. And then I've just done, as I say, Stuart Fielding and Brian Noble on Friday. So I'm out doing that, really, organising some events. We've got an event out in Ireland, which we're doing, which me and Tony Drigo and Mel Sterling are going to. So I've organised that. We're going up to Carlisle to do a one up in Carlisle with me, Michael Bridges, Ian Hart, and a guy called Matt Glennon who played up there. So 2 ex-Leeds lads who work
Legends.
I know really well. Yep. Bridgie works with us and LUTV, and also I grew up with Harty anyhow. He was 16 when he came in. I was a pro at that point. So yeah, we've got all these kind of little things going on. So kind of full circle. And in the meantime of that, I've got 2 young kids now as well. So I've started late I've got Clara who's 3 and I've got Isla who's 5 months.
So you're a girl dad.
I am a girl dad, yeah. Yeah, I am a girl dad. So
maybe some future Leeds United women's players in the mix.
Fair, Clara absolutely loves her football. She goes to football on a Friday and she absolutely loves it.
Awesome.
She's and I think the women's game is just growing and growing and growing at the minute. So
it is, yeah. And by the time she's of age, I reckon it'll be even bigger.
Yeah, and I think I wish the women's teams would kind of be always in the big stadiums because that's where they seem to get the big crowds then. But look, it's great. if she wants to go off and do that, that's fine. She also does ballet and everything else as well, obviously.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
and like singing and things like that. But it's but yeah, football and hand-eye coordination side of things is something as I said right at the start, for me, sport is very important in my life because it's what I did. I played cricket, tennis, badminton, football, and I was pretty good at all of them. So, it's if she gets any enjoyment out of them. I play golf at a really good level now, and if she gets any enjoyment out of there, she actually came home from football the other week. It's on a Friday morning. She went and did football, and she came home and sat down on the sofa, and she goes, "Daddy, can I go play golf now?" And I'm like, "My job is nearly done, let's go." But she's a little bit young for that. But yeah, she's she loves all that side of it. But yeah, let's just see what happens. Let you leave them to what they want to do. Basically, she's a bit of a character and quite strong-minded. So if she wants to do something, she'll go off and do it. Yeah, absolutely. But she's loving her football. She's absolutely loving her football, and she's got a very good kick on her. So fingers crossed that she does like it and she wants to go and play a little bit, because I think it'll be fantastic.
Absolutely. And so I've got a bit of quick fire questions for the listeners and wanted to get to know you. It's only 4 quick fire questions. Then I've got 2 final topics / questions for you. Mainly because anyone who listens to the podcast knows by now that there's 3 certainties in life: death, taxes, and quick fire questions on Life and Sport podcast. And they're always the same 4 questions. They don't change. First question: Apple or Android?
Apple.
Oh, absolutely. And you'd be surprised. You're my 218th guest, and only one has said Android, and it's a former Leeds player. It's not John Newsom. It's Dylan Kerr.
Well, that doesn't surprise me. It does not.
John Newsom said that too. He said that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, to be fair, I'm surprised he's got that. I thought he might have had a Nokia 3310 or something.
He said he's still rocking a BlackBerry, by the way.
Well, he's been in South Africa for a while, hasn't he? So, I think, that does not surprise me one bit.
Okay. Next question. What is your favorite movie of all time?
Oh, that's a difficult one.
It is.
I listened to something of this. Yeah, I listened to this the other day. It's like you've got your stupid ones, haven't you? Like Home Alone and things like that for Christmas, which are brilliant. Yep. I've got to say James Bond. I love all James Bonds.
Any Bond. Aren't they good? Yeah. You know what? You're actually the first guest of 217 to say James Bond. So
yeah, it's always a film to go to for me. I'd always pick a Bond film to go and watch.
Absolutely. So, like, the most common answer for that one, by the way, is usually the usual suspects, such as, Saving Private Ryan. I've had The Green Mile. I've had Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, Green Mile is very good, I have to say.
Absolutely. And I've also had, because obviously a lot of sport guests, of course, a lot of them have said, what's that movie called? Remember the Titans, sort of those sort of sports movies. But yeah, never had a James Bond movie. And I love James Bond films. Like, I could literally sit down and just binge watch a good 4 or 5 in a row if I had the time.
Absolutely.
My next question in quickfire is, how do you like your steak?
Oh, rare. Medium rare.
I like my medium rare, but closer to, like, more on the rare side than the medium side.
Yeah, if it comes rare, it's not a problem. But medium rare would be mine. Absolutely.
And my final quickfire question is flip-flops, so like thongs, the shoe type, or Crocs?
So I've got a saying. I've told my missus, if you see me with Crocs or a vest top out, she can kill me.
Yes. Yep.
So, I'm sorry to the Australian viewers and everybody else out there. It's got to be Havana flip-flops all day long.
Yep. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Toei, as you will see on the microphone, is actually one of our sponsors, Toei Thongs, which is a flip-flop company. That's why I decided to add that question into the quickfire about 2 or 3 months ago. And it's, I think I've only ever had, so far in the last few months, I've had 2 guests say Crocs, which is good. Very, very good. And I've got 2 final questions for you that are not quickfire. First one is, which coach or coaches had the biggest impact on the player you were and the person you are today?
Paul Hart, without a
Yep.
shadow of a doubt. He
And
was our youth team
for what
coach.
reasons?
He was our youth team coach. He put the discipline into us. He put the work ethic into us. And I don't think he realizes. I actually interviewed him he came to our 30 years since we won the Youth Cup
Yep.
thing, and I actually interviewed him on stage. And I saw Paul 5-6 years ago. Another thing which we're doing, and he's like our dad. He's like our second dad.
Yeah.
Because he's somebody who had that influence on all of us, and everybody who was there that day, would all have something to say about Paul. And he learned. You learn how to talk to people. You learn how to be respectful to the first team, the pros, the other thing, because you're trying to aim to that level. But he also put that discipline into your life. That was either with he'd take some people's money off them, put it in a bank account, and you can only have a $5 a week.
Yep.
That kind of stuff. So Paul was like you've got to remember 16. So you're 16 to 18, which is most kind of
Impressionable
important time
years.
in your life, and Paul's there looking after you.
Yep.
And you're seeing him more than your mum and dad. And a lot of people would be in digs as well, and he would be on top of you. So he would, Paul Hart, without a shadow of a doubt, would be the biggest influence in that sense.
That's awesome. And my final question for you is, what's next for Andy Couzens?
More sleepless nights, win the lottery, go to the Maldives and sit on a beach. That'd be quite nice, wouldn't it?
That would be wonderful.
That's my dream. The reality is less sleep with the two kids.
Of course. Yep.
And I'm going down. I've got a few things which I'm involved with. So I'm obviously doing what I'm doing in the hosting side of things. I'm involved with a company called Underpin, which is for golf mental coaching side of things. So we have a mental coach there for the players and the pros and things to try and get as much out of them as we can.
Mm-hmm.
Along with golf days, which we do for their networking side of things for people in a 72 club, which we have. So Underpin is something which I'm involved with. And a very interesting conversation the other day. I just came up the other day and potentially get involved with and trying to help a little bit is a football boot company which do vegan football boots.
Oh wow!
And recycled football boots. So quite an interesting concept. So I'm just looking for a few investors from there, a few players on that point of view. So I only had that conversation. What day was today? Tuesday. I had that conversation on Thursday. So that's something which is kind of working in the background. So just kind of fingers in a few pies and just still involved with football and still involved with other things. And we're who knows what the future will hold at the end of the day. We're all still young, relatively. At 48, you're not as young as you used to be, and you can't do what you did. But I think that
we've still got plenty of years left ahead of you.
Exactly. Life starts at 40, so let's just see. But if the first one comes off, then I might give the other bits a rest. But if the first bit doesn't come off, then I might we'll be concentrating on the hosting side of it. Definitely, we're putting quite a lot of effort into that now at the minute, which I love doing.
Yep.
I love being on on the mic with people and finding out as much as you can with people in that sense. You Aussies love the rugby league, and it was quite an interesting one with Brian Noble and Stuart on Friday because they were I'm
a Rhinos tragic myself, being Leeds heritage, and I'm a Brisbane Broncos fan in rugby league over here because I was born in Brisbane here.
Yeah, it's just very interesting that they think that everything really should be combined now because it's like
I agree.
It's a dying kind of game in this country with fans and everything else when they used to have.
Well, it's predominantly really only played in the north these days. So yeah,
it is. Yeah, absolutely. But I think the Vegas thing actually works for a lot of for that side of it, and I think the Americans saw a lot of potential there.
There was
maybe
a
in the
lot of
betting
Leeds
scheme of
United
things.
and
But
Leeds Rhinos fans in the crowd at the Vegas games as well.
yeah, I know some. I know two or three people who'd gone to it. And I think it's brilliant. I think look, sport is about a world. Sport now is a world thing. Doesn't matter what
Yeah,
sport it is, and it's trying to get everybody involved with whatever sport they want. For me personally, I think sport gives, and I say when I say sport, any team event
any
really
team event. Yep.
gives you a grounding, gives you friendships for life, which you'd never get if you didn't do that. It gives you discipline. It gives you so much more than just the sport in itself. And I think that's the thing which is important. And that could be dancing, it could be singing, it could be rugby, it could be football, it could be cricket, it could be anything.
Could be
You
badminton.
make Yeah, you make lifelong friends. I've still got a lot of friends in the badminton world, which, I gave up that when I was 16. I actually bumped into one the other day who won. She's got a couple of kids, and one of the kids goes to the same gymnastics as Clara goes, and she's won I think she got the Olympic silver medal.
Oh wow.
So it's something which you kind of sport gives you so many different opportunities, and
Yeah.
I think that's what the important thing is with any team event of some sort. It gives you that cohesion and
Yeah.
that thing of you knowing that you're involved with that, and it doesn't matter if you're 50, 60, 70, or if you're 8, 9, or 10, you still get that. I just
Yeah.
wish football would relax
Yeah.
and chill out these young kids and get them going back to when they were 14 and
Not
let them
nine. Yeah.
enjoy themselves beforehand
Let them be
before they
kids.
get into that. Uh,
Yeah.
exactly, and that would be my biggest bugbear. If you had a lad who was very good at football, for instance, and suddenly somebody's picking him up at 8 year old, and it's a cut every 2 years, and I just don't like that, unfortunately.
Let them play for their local club on a Sunday with boys his age from his school, sort of thing, not academy at 6 or 7 years old.
See, I don't mind. I don't mind. Going to play with your local mates and stuff, and I don't mind all that. I don't mind it being a little bit earlier than what it was, but I
Mm.
think the
It's not
age of what
academy
we've got now.
signing a
I think. I
contract
think.
at
I
seven
think the
years old.
problem you've got is people for them fall out of love with it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So you've got
Absolutely.
an 8 year old who under pressure every 2 years to get to 14. And let's say at 14 years old, they've had that much and they go, do you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. I've just been released again. I don't want to go to such and such a club. And they go off. Well, that person there could be an Ian Wright. It could be a
The
Jamie
next
Vardy.
Beckham. Yeah.
You just don't know. Beckham didn't really come to the forefront until he was 21. 20, well, maybe a bit earlier than that, actually. 18, 19, I would say Beckham was. Some people are a little bit earlier, some people are 18. But, if you come into fruition at 2021, then you've kind of done all your life already. And sure, there's injuries and other things which come within that. And people do fall out of love. I came out of football and I fell out of love with football. It took me about 6 or 7 years to get back into loving football again. And that was my own doing. That was my own. I got involved with radio stations. I got involved with Leeds again. I got involved with a few other bits. And Leeds came along and said, would you come and do this on match days? I said, yes. And then you're in that thing. And I love football again now. I'm not bothered about watching too much of it, I have to say, because the Premiership does my head in. VAR does my head in. But let's just bring it back to basics a little bit, and especially with the kids on that side of it, I think they need to be able to learn and just go off and like I did, go and play all the sports you want. In the summer, I played tennis, I played cricket. In the winter, I played badminton, I played football, and that's how my sporting kind of life was, and they all help each other without a shadow of a doubt. So that's for me. That's how it should be with kids coming in.
Absolutely. I agree. And that about wraps up the episode and interview with Andy Couzens. So I first of all want to thank you very much for your time, and also
No
would
problems
like
whatsoever.
invite you on the podcast again, but not until at the end of the season, so we can do like a Leeds United season recap if you're interested.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, let's hope we're talking about a promotion party because that makes. We're going to Ireland and we've got 3 events out in Ireland and they're all just after the season ends. So let's hope we're all having a celebration at that point.
Celebratory pint, absolutely.
Absolutely, absolutely.